This is the Polestar 4 long-range all-wheel drive. How does it compare to Polestar 3 and the Zeekr 001? And how is it to drive around without a rear window? Let's find out. Welcome to It's Only Electric. This is my full review of the Polestar 4.
It's only electric.
Size-wise, this is the smallest or shortest car among those three. Compared to the Polestar 3, it's actually 5 centimeters shorter in total length. So this one measures 485. When it comes to the wheelbase, it has a slightly longer wheelbase of 3 meters to be more exact. Compared to the Zeekr 001, it's actually 10 centimeters shorter, but of course having the exact same wheelbase. When it comes to the battery pack, it shares the same battery pack as the Zeekr 001 with a gross capacity of 100 kilowatt hours and a net capacity of 95. That's a NMC pack. Compared to the long-range version of the Polestar 3, this one is smaller, so the Polestar 3 has a gross capacity of 111 kilowatts, but still a big battery pack. Curb weight, 2,300 kilograms. So as I just mentioned, it's all-wheel drive with 2 permanent magnet motor. Each motor puts out 200 kilowatts. So as the badge here states, combined output 400 kilowatts, 544 horsepower, 686 newton meters of torque. The sprint from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour takes 3.8 seconds with a top speed of 200 kilometers per hour. This one is equipped with extra big rims, so 21-inch rims. These are not standard, so you need to pay extra to get those. Michelin Pilot Sport EV tires, non-staggered setup, so 255, 45, 21-inch all around. The color is called Electron Blue. It's kind of a heaven's blue metallic. I think it's really a refreshing color. And you see some design elements taken from the other Polestar cars or the Volvo brands, and the most obvious one is the Torus Hammer headlight unit design. In this case, it's separated by a bar. What do you think about that? Is this a better looking front or headlight design than the other cars? Let me know in the comments below. Because the top part is only the daylight running lights, whilst the lower part is the actual headlight unit. And since this has the Plus package, it also comes with pixel LED lights. Air vents here at the sides. At the middle here, illuminated Polestar logo, but it only illuminates during night and not whilst driving. Just underneath that there is a front-facing camera for the park assist functionalities, and at the bottom here, inside the black grille part, there is a front-facing radar, and that's also part of the Pilot package, the self-driving capabilities. Underneath the bonnet, there's a small trunk with 15 liters of storage. As a whole, I like this sporty, sleek, a bit more of a classic frontal design. It's kind of a GT car, and you feel that when you drive it too. More about that soon, but it's really a great car for highway driving, for long trips. It's a smooth driving car. More about that soon. And behind this automated charge port, there is a CCS2 connector with a DC or fast charging capability of 200 kilowatts. It's a 400 volt system, so 10 to 80% takes 30 minutes. When it comes to home charging, AC charging, since this car has the Plus package, it has a speed of 22 kilowatts. That's really good. And of course, 3-phase support. If you skip the Plus package, it drops to 11 kilowatts. And since this is the long-range version with the big battery pack, it has a range of up to 620 kilometers, but this is the all-wheel drive with 21-inch wheels, so then it drops to 570 kilometers. And to the elephant in the room, and that's the rear shape of the Polestar 4. As you see, there is no rear window. Instead of the rear window, there is a rear-facing camera, or actually 2 cameras, to support the view of the driver in the front. But is it really a coupe? Is it a wagon? Is it a hatchback? Or is it a SUV? If you ask Polestar, they call it a coupe with the practicality of a SUV. I'm not really with them. I'm not really agreeing with that statement, but we're gonna check that when we look at the interior space soon. So the tail design is very futuristic, reminds me of the movie Tron in a good way. Here at the top, a small air spoiler with a built-in brake lights. The rear tail lights is connected by a big light bar crossing the whole rear of the car. Underneath that, almost a hidden button for the powered liftgate. Again, the Polestar logo in the body color. The black details at the lower parts make it look even more sporty. And as on the Polestar 3, kind of a Polestar design element using this kind of airflow directors or small wings at the outer skirt. When it comes to boot space, in total 526 liters here at the boot, at the rear. At the front, a additional frunk with 15 liters. A lot of space here underneath, a big chunk of volume for storing cables, and this floor is a double floor, so you can actually move it down a level to give you even more space. Foldable seat, split into two parts, 30/70. You can't fold them from here because this one is covering the coupe, so you can, but it's actually a bit hard, but it's possible. And as you see, it folds almost flat. It's a bit upward sloping at the end. This is possible to remove. In total, a practical car, and this is maybe what Polestar states when they say that it is a coupe with the practicality of a SUV, because the boot space is actually 50 or 60 liters more than you get in the Polestar 3, and that's a bigger and higher and more SUV-ish car. 12-volt outlet, 180 watts of capacity. Of course, hooks for securing your cargo, grocery bags hooks at both sides, and lights at both sides too. And this is the Harman Kardon subwoofer, since that's a part of the Plus package. So it's time to check out the back seats. And the front seat is adjusted after my driver position, so I'm 193 centimeters tall or 6'4". And as you see here, my knees are not touching. That's really good. And it's in its lowest position, so I have a hard time squeezing my feet underneath the front seat because it's really touching the bottom of the seat. So if you raise it a bit, it will help the passengers at the back with a bit more of a footwell room. Headroom. This is one of the interesting things. I mean, they didn't provide us a rear window. And as you see here, it's sloping a lot. And this is the cover I showed you from the boot, possible to remove, but it has a really nice ambient lighting. So it's kind of a closed coupe here inside, makes it a bit more cozy. Also stops the sound from the boot to replicate into the cabin. So it gets a bit more silent this way. But I was expecting a bit more of a headroom. Compared to the Zeekr 001, this one has less headroom. Also compared to the Polestar 3. And as you see, I'm actually touching this headliner here. When I really stretch out, I'm touching it. If we open this one, come on. This is a nice feature. It also has the ability of angling the back row. So now it's in the straightest position. The good thing with sitting even more straight is that now I'm not touching the headliner anymore, because now I have the glass roof on top of me, and that gives me 2 fingers of headroom actually. But in the most reclined position, I'm really touching it. So headroom is okay, but I'm a bit disappointed because I really thought that this windowless design would give me more headroom, but strangely it didn't. But also keep in mind that the 001 is 10 centimeters longer than this car. Thigh support, a bit disappointing. The seats are low, but this microfabrics, high-tech fabrics is nice. It's really soft, well cushioned, fairly flat seating area. This midsection is probably not the most comfortable section available, since this is a couple of bumps here and uneven. So probably not the best position for traveling long trips if you are a grown-up. This armrest though is a premium one. Because as I showed you, you have the buttons for adjusting the angle of the rear bench. One good thing that I miss actually in the Zeekr 7X I tested recently is the angle of the armrest. Because this one sits or rests upon the bench, which means that it always stays in the right angle for your arm. Some armrests, for instance the one in the 7X, follows the angle of the seat, which means that if you're angling one part or one side, the angle will be too steep and it will feel awkward for the other passenger. Another convenient feature is the AC system, which consists of 3 climate zones, 2 at the front, 1 at the rear. So there's 2 manual air vents here at the top, companioned by 2 more air vents at the B-pillars, so a lot of fresh air for the rear passengers. And the third climate zone can be controlled with a small 5.8-inch screen here at the rear. And you can control things like the seat heating, because it's heated at the 2 other positions, but also temperature, airflow, and media, and also the reading light. So you can control the reading light from here and here. Underneath the screen there is 2 USB-C ports, one high power output, 60 watts for powering laptops, etc. And to the last part, and that's the door closing sound. Frameless doors, but still a solid sound. One more time. Solid. In general here at the back there is really good materials. I mean the same kind of materials as in the front. First off, the Microtech fabrics here at the armrest is cushioned. On top here also cushioned materials, so good quality here at the back. Built-in ambient lighting. So underneath these fabrics there is kind of a dotted pattern for the ambient lighting, but also around this part. And the thin Polestar line is also represented here at the back. So as a summary, this is a good back seat. I mean, all the materials, touch and feel to it, it's really premium. The equipment, the screen, the armrest, the reclining back seats, all good things. Legroom, good. Thigh support, bad. Headroom, a bit disappointing. This specific interior is part of the Plus package. It's called Sync Deco. It's the microfabric interior. Compared to the Polestar 3, it feels a bit more premium, but also a bit more techy. The implementation of the screens, but also the automatic or digital air vents. There is no manual adjustment of the air vents. Good or bad, I don't know, but it looks more sleek. It looks a bit better. Material-wise, here at the top, cushioned Microtech fabrics with a instrument cluster attached to it, so 10.25 inch. To the right, the main media screen, touchscreen, 15.4 inch, horizontally aligned compared to the vertically aligned screens on the other Polestar cars. The light fabrics is part of the Sync Deco interior, as these parts are. Everywhere is actually nice touch and feel. This is really well cushioned and soft materials. We have the midsection consists of a very clean design here. First off, we have a Qi charger. This may be one of the worst Qi chargers I have tried out, because it's slippery, so when you accelerate, your phone may exit that compartment. Also, the side bolsters of it is not holding the phone in place, so it's really rattling around and sliding around, so you won't be able to charge your phone that much, especially if you don't use a rubberized cover. So a rubberized cover would really be a recommendation for you guys, because otherwise this will not work out for you. Just underneath that, a rotary device for controlling the volume, the media. If you push it, it's a play and pause button, and you turn it to adjust the volume, but it doesn't have the media control, skipping or reversing the song as the Polestar 3, so it works a bit differently, even if it looks fairly similar. Underneath that, hidden cup holders, 2 adaptive cup holders actually, well placed, they are deep, and a armrest. It's cushioned, a bit hard, with 2 USB-C ports and some small amount of storage. There is no lighting inside here. Underneath this compartment there is plenty of storage actually, 2 compartments. There is no porch here, so the only USB-C ports is the ones here, at least at the front. The steering wheel with haptic touch buttons, and it looks a bit different compared to the steering wheel in the Polestar 3. I prefer the steering wheel, and I prefer it because of the controls. So to the left you have a couple of shortcuts actually for activating or deactivating the performance mode. If you press it downwards, you have the deactivation of the annoying speed chimes. If you press it upwards, you activate or deactivate the recuperation. So for instance, if you want to coast on highway driving, you just press that one and you deactivate it. You press it again and you activate the one-pillar driving function. And it also controls the lane keep assist functions. To the right, we have the toggler of the layout of the instrument cluster, also responding to messages on the screen. You have the voice control, sub-menus for showing extra information on the instrument cluster. So more or less, it's a instrument cluster control, but also the media control. So this is where you raise the volume or toggle the music. So compared to the Polestar 3, the functions of this steering wheel is a lot more well implemented and sophisticated. There's a lot of controls. Even if they can be a bit hard to get used to, they hide so much more functions, so much more features. So I much prefer this steering wheel. On top of the steering wheel, there is a IR camera companioned but by a camera here at the left. Both these are for controlling or for monitoring the driver. Using the same stocks as in the Polestar 3 and the Volvo EX30, at least looks the same. The feeling of these ones, I don't know, may feel a bit better than in the Polestar 3, I'm not sure. I like the seats. They are very well cushioned, they are soft but still supportive with a extendable thigh support. Even if it's manual, still gives me a bit of a better support. They're not that sporty, so fairly flat on the seating position. The backrests are a bit more supportive, but with a bit more side bolstering. There is no adjustment of the bolsters. You have a 2-axis lumbar support and powered seats, of course, for the passenger and the driver. They are heated, not cooled, and doesn't have any massage. One downside is the headrests. They are static, so you can't adjust it height-wise or depth-wise, but fortunately they are well cushioned and soft, especially compared to the Polestar 3. So I actually prefer these fully static headrests since they are better cushioned. The Plus package brings you the pixel LED lights, the quicker home charging, AC charging of 22 kilowatts instead of 11, head-up display of 16.3 inch, the premium Harman Kardon sound system, more about that soon, and the third climate zone for the rear. So that's a package that really brings you a lot of comfort, but also practical things like better headlights for night driving. The Harman Kardon sound system is a 12-speaker setup, 1,320 watts of output. I compare it to the sound in the Tesla Model Y. It's a bit to the warmer side. It's not as detailed compared to the Polestar 3 running the Bowers & Wilkins system. So that system is a notch up when it comes to the details and crispiness of the sound. This one though is a bit more to the warmer side, a bit more suitable for more heavy bass music like R&B, hip hop, or in general house music, I would say. The software as such is built upon Android Automotive, and I like that. I like the coloring, I like the layout, and I actually prefer it to be horizontally compared to the vertical align screen in the Polestar 3. Good news is that the Polestar 4 comes with more features, even if it's still lacking some things like battery preconditioning, at least manual battery preconditioning. It comes with good things like built-in Google Maps and a lot of Google features, and that's good, I think. This screen is customizable and you can profile it with your own shortcuts. So if you long press this button, you can add the shortcuts you use the most. That's a good feature. You can activate the parking camera, for instance. So this is also customizable. If you long press it, you can put in your favorite tile at that position. You can also slide the width of the two panes, so we can actually make the map bigger and the shortcuts smaller if you want that. When it comes to the app drawer, you have some pre-installed apps. Google Maps, as I said, you have support for wireless Apple CarPlay. You don't have support for wireless Android Auto since it's still built on Android Automotive. Anyway, Spotify, YouTube, you have the USB media player and dash cam recordings and a sophisticated screen for the car status. When it comes to charging, as I said, a bit of a limitation. You can set the charge level. There is no setting for activating the preconditioning. You need to navigate to a charger by using the native Google Maps. And we just did a charge test to see if it can reach 10 to 80% within 30 minutes. I'll put the link up here so we can watch that when you have time. Otherwise, the shortcuts here this is a good screen where you have all the most important things concerning the car settings. Glove box is digital, good or bad, not sure. I prefer a regular handle. So this is the driver's menu where you can see and set things like the suspension. Doesn't have air suspension, but comes with active dampers. So you can actually change the stiffness of the dampers in 3 modes: standard, nimble, and firm. And the wordings are exactly the same as in the Polestar 3. So if you're used to that menu, you will easily catch up here quickly. The biggest change is the horizontal alignment. In general, I think the system works good. We haven't experienced that many bugs at all, actually. And I'm glad to see that it has a bit more functions than the Polestar 3, especially when it comes to the steering wheel shortcuts. Finally, to some driving, and I have the driver screen open. This is all the settings, and I can control most of them from the steering wheel. Starting off at range, and the steering wheel set to firm, suspension set to standard, and one-pillar driving to let us start at off. So when it comes to the one-pillar driving, that sub-menu or setting could be called regenerative braking, because now it's totally off and then it just coasts indefinitely, never comes to a stop. Let us set that to low. So at low, it activates the one-pillar driving, so it will come to a full stop, but the regen is not that strong, so it takes a bit too long to get to a full stop. So it's more or less not possible to use it as a real one-pillar driving. You need to plan so much ahead, and I mean, that's not possible. So if I press that again, it will move it to standard, and this is the highest amount of regen, and it's a lot more. This is more like my Tesla Model Y. It's a lot more regen, and it very smoothly comes to a full stop using the friction brakes at the end. That's the mode I always use, standard one-pillar driving. The drive mode is set to range, and that's more or less the acceleration curve setting. So at range, it takes like 3 or 4 seconds before giving me all the power. So it slowly builds up the power, and at the end, like a hockey stick, gives me everything. Exactly the same as in the Polestar 3. So it's a bit of a delay, almost like a combustion engine with a turbo spooling up the power and giving me all the power at the end. A bit too slow for me, but the purpose of that is, of course, to preserve some energy and not to accelerate too much. So if you floor it and keep the pedal to the max, it will give you the power at the end anyway. If you switch that to performance, it's a big difference. As you see, the phone is flying out from its cradle, charging The Qi charger is really not keeping the phone in its place. Such a bad design. A very big difference in performance. A lot more fun, a lot more immediate. And what I also feel is that in performance, the dampening gets too soft when driving on standard. So I'm gonna toggle that too. Just gonna make a U-turn over here. Some uneven surfaces, some gravel on standard. I mean, the suspension is good. You don't need air suspension in this car. I think the active dampers does the job for you. And it's a solid dampening system. Doesn't make any strange sounds, no squeaks. But still very comfortable, especially on highways. This is a really highway car. And I like the suspension on it. And I also feel the difference in comfort compared to the Polestar 3. This feels a lot smoother. Even if it doesn't got the air suspension as such, it's smoother. It runs like on silk. It's actually a big difference. So if you want a smoother ride, I think the Polestar 4 actually wins over the Polestar 3, because this is silky smooth when driving it. When set to performance, it's nodding too much, so I will set it to nimble. Still nodding a bit. Firm, better. Yeah, firm is the way to go. If you want to have the car in performance and you want to accelerate, I would recommend you to go for firm, because then it stiffens up the damper and gives you a better response to the acceleration. And yeah, also when you push it in corners, I think firm is for sure the way to go, because you need that support. It's so powerful, and as I said, the distribution of the power is so even. The front motor is delivering 200 kilowatts as the rear one does, so plenty of power on both axles. And you feel that when you drive the car. You can't really feel if it's rear-wheel drive biased or front-wheel drive biased in performance mode. It just pushes and pulls at the same time. And now I'm getting nausea, because the acceleration, 3.8 seconds. It's a quick car, and it's the quickest car among all the Polestar models. And that's interesting, because it's not Polestar's or Volvo's own SPA platform. That's also a big difference, because this is built upon the SEA platform, and that's Geely's premium platform for EVs. The exact same platform that they are using for the Zeekr 001. The Zeekr 7X is also built upon the SEA platform. So different platforms. The steering is very precise, especially in firm. If you put it into light, then it gets a bit more sloppy. You need a lot more movement to steer the car. It is not as precise, so firm is the way to go. My favorite settings is nimble when it comes to the suspension, firm steering wheel, and of course performance when it comes to power delivery. And one pedal driving set to standard. Then you will get the most out of the sportiness of this car without ruining the comfort too much. Nimble is still a okay feel when driving it. A thing that I haven't mentioned, the rear view mirror, replacing the rear window. It has a camera, so it's digital, it's a screen. If you flip it this way, it acts as a mirror, but since you don't have any window, you can just see the rear passengers. I have a hard time getting used to this, because first off, it feels like it sits too close to my eyes. So every time I look at it, feels too close. But it also forces my eyes to refocus, because it's a screen. It is not like looking at a mirror, at the nature, because you need to focus on the screen as such. doesn't act like a normal mirror, and you can't like turn your head or adjust your eyes to see the mirror from different angles. You can just see what the camera is representing for you. And that is not as good as having a regular mirror. But you will get used to it, but it will take some time. I clearly prefer a traditional mirror, of course. And since the rear window don't seem to do such a big difference, so I'm not sure if the decision going for a windowless design really makes any sense. So after almost a week of driving of the Polestar 4, I'll try to summarize my experience with it, also share my thoughts and try to compare it to the Polestar 3 and the Zeekr 001. First off, the price point. The entry-level car starts from 700,000 Swedish crowns or around 60,000 euros. This specific one, long range, all-wheel drive with the Pilot Pack, 21-inch rims, the blue color, and the Plus package costs 840,000 Swedish crowns or 77,000 euros. And there is some discounts going on, so you can probably get it a lot cheaper because they're trying to push the cars and get a lot of customers from Tesla Model Y owners or Tesla owners in general. I think that's a smart strategy because this is a great car. If I had to choose between this one and the Polestar 3, I mean, the Polestar 3 is a SUV, looks a bit different, a bit more unique, I would say, but it costs a lot more. I would probably pick this one, the Polestar 4, because the back seat is probably the same. The boot is bigger on this one, and it has more power, and it's smoother on highway. The Polestar 3 is sportier, even if it's bigger and heavier. It's still sportier, it's a bit tighter to drive. But this one has that too. It's still like, if you set it to the right settings, you will get the sportiness. You will be able to use and utilize all that horsepower. And what I in particular like with this platform is that it is smooth. It is really comfortable to drive around in, both when it comes to the cabin noise, but also especially the suspension. And compared to the Zeekr 001 that has the air suspension, the privileged version, I think you don't need that air suspension. So this one is so smooth anyway. The active dampers is more than enough. I think this is a good sweet spot. What I prefer with the Zeekr 001 is probably the price point. You can probably get it a bit cheaper than the Polestar 4. And in more particular, I don't like the windowless design because I think it's unpractical. I don't like the screen instead of a rear window. And I don't see it bring anything to the table. I mean, the car doesn't feel more practical. The boot is still smaller than on the Zeekr 001. The back seat, the headroom is a bit less in this car than the 001. But of course, the car is also shorter than the 001. So that's probably the equation that's hard to solve. Another interesting pick is the comparison between this car and the Zeekr 7X. I mean, we shouldn't compare those cars because the Zeekr 7X is a SUV in a different class on the updated platform with the better charging, almost the same price. So I would hands down pick the 7X above the Zeekr 001 and this one, and also above the Polestar 3, because I think that's the most bang for the buck. If you want to be a bit more unique and you like the Scandinavian Polestar brand, then it's another question. I like the brand, but not enough to pay that extra premium. And I think the Polestar 3 is a bit too expensive compared to these alternatives, because I don't think it brings that much more to the table when it comes to the platform and technology. So you pay for other things, more or less the brand. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, engage to this video, write comments, ask me questions, share your thoughts about the Polestar 4. Which one would you pick between the Polestar 4, the Polestar 3, the Zeekr 001, or the Zeekr 7X? share it in the comments below. And as I always say, stay electric. Thank you for watching. Speak to you soon.